Namaskaram and a warm welcome to everyone joining us for today's episode of Decoding the Polls, a series of webinars organized by the Center for Public Policy Research around election times. I'm Sreelakshmi, Research Associate at CPPR. In this episode on Kerala's local election, we will unpack not just the headlines, but the deeper political, institutional, and governance trends that is shaping the state's electoral behavior. So, today we begin with a very foundational conversation on the significance of local body elections, especially in the year preceding the assembly polls, and how political incentives, voter expectations, and party strategies have evolved since the last election cycle of 2020. Today, we are joined by Professor G. Gopa Kumar, former Vice-Chancellor of Central University of Kerala and a seasoned psephologist with deep insights into Kerala's electoral sociology and party system. Sir, thank you for joining us today.
Welcome.
So let me just lay out today's theme in one line. So local elections matter because they reorganize the grassroots networks and governance capacities that shape political outcomes at the state level. So, but before we delve into the deeper conversations, let's just start by understanding the importance of local elections. So, local elections are often considered as a referendum on governance. But beyond the usual narrative that we see in the media, Professor, in your analysis, how significant is the upcoming local elections ahead of the 2026 polls? Especially, how meaningful are these outcomes in predicting coalition strengths at the state level?
Well, uh, the basic strength of democracy is the fact that the grassroots democracy is being strengthened. In whichever country it is concerned, unless the local democratic roots are stronger, the growth of democracy will be almost like a top to bottom approach. Ideally, democracy should have become stronger at the basic level and then going towards the highest level, as you find in the traditional democratic system, where the town hall meetings and other kinds of civic organizations in the past enabled people to come, discuss, and debate over a lot of issues. Although the state or the central government has very limited powers due to many other reasons, the local interaction and public participation, etc., were very high. But the trajectory of India's democracy was not in that direction, particularly following the arrival of the Britishers and subsequently the regime in India. And finally, by the time they left, we had very limited space given for local democracy. That is why probably in the constitution itself, Article 40 mentions very little about local democracy, and the democracy that way was in its early stage. When we look at the history, Ambedkar for himself was not a staunch champion of local democracy because he feared that if local democracy is given more powers, it will be taken over by the local bourgeoisie, the local barons, and the local landlords, and thereby deprive the poor people of all the opportunities. So in a way, our system of democracy came from top to bottom, but thanks to the changes in the PRI system, particularly after the 73rd and 74th Amendment, a lot of developments took place. Kerala, in the meanwhile, had contributed for local democracy by conducting elections right from 1967 onwards. Even we had a partyless election. But after 1967 election, we moved on to party-based elections at the local level. And in 1990, we implemented the District Council Act. Although it was removed thanks to the arrival of 73rd and 74th Amendment, the District Council itself gave an additional opportunity for the people to say how strong the local roots are. Now, coming to the particular point in which you made reference, this is very true that we need a strong basis, and particularly when it comes to the mobilization of the voters and also organizing the people at the grassroots. In other words, our federal system, although it is a little bit centripetal in character, we have now given real space for local democracy. And at the local democracy, what is required is the third tier of party system should become stronger. And given the third tier of party system becoming stronger, there must be a kind of a public participation, not on the basis of patron-client relationship that should develop at the local level. And thereby, since 1996, we initially gave 33% reservation for women. And after some time, we gave 50% reservation for women. So with the result that after the initial shock, I must say shock, the political parties were keen to recruit party candidates at the local level. So we have a coalition system, we had bipolar system, now it is moving towards a tripolar system. So we need leaders at the local level, and these leaders are very important as far as mobilizing the people are concerned, and thereby this mobilization will help grassroots democracy to grow. And particularly that during the last few years, assembly elections is also always preceded by the local elections. We had been noticing this particularly since 2000. So assembly election preceded by preceded by the local elections. So whenever a poll takes place, in the sense that local polls take place, people take it as a sure parameter for what is happening in the assembly election. Because in Kerala, despite the mobilization of party leaders, we do have candidates and party leaders contesting in all these levels. We do have a third tier, but nevertheless, some party leaders contest. For example, now we do have a former MLA, not one, two, one in Idukki district and another in Thiruvananthapuram. They are now contesting for local government. In Thiruvananthapuram, one leader is contesting for the corporation, and in Idukki, they are contesting for the district panchayat. So that means the same leadership can be applied for the assembly as well as for the local government, which means that there is a kind of a close relationship in the pattern of voting behavior, unlike in the parliament election. In the parliament election, the situation is almost very different, because we consider the national issue and national government and the outcome of national government relating to stability, future, public policy, issues of secularism, foreign policy, many such issues relating to the overall context, national context is taken into consideration. Whereas there is a close proximity between local polls and assembly polls. And since the local polls take place first and followed by the assembly poll, I think this mobilization becomes very indicative of what is going to happen at 2026. But one thing is certain, all the three major parties, and the Congress, the CPIM, and the BJP, and all the three coalitions, the UDF, the LDF, and the NDA, have recruited leadership at the local level. And voter mobilization has been very active. And also in the case of Kerala, since the state is very small, population is high, density is very high, thickness, population density and its thickness very high. In addition to that, we have a strong communication network. We have more than 12 news channels, more than 16 newspapers, and having all these newspapers and channels are having sufficient publicity and contact with the people. And now with the arrival of social media, politics is almost a domestic affair. It is almost what is a household affair. I would call it household affair. Nobody is out of politics. But this election having an importance, because the issues relating to local development, welfare measures, distribution of resources, and other kinds of progression that is required for the regional level. And since this, the result of this election is going to determine probably to a great extent what is in store for the assembly election. So we have seen this in 2021 in the assembly poll, there was preceded by the local polls. In 2015 also the same thing happened. 2010 also it had happened. So there's a close relationship between the assembly poll and the local poll. In any case, the mobilization of voters and also how the networks are developed, I think there has been so much of activism, probably more than in any election. This local polls attaches much more importance, and because this is a test case for a 10-year state government, although it is not a state assembly election. In addition, that how strong the BJP is going to repeat its performance in the last parliamentary poll, and additionally for the Congress, it is very crucial because of internal issues, factionalism, and besides the fact that they are out of power, not only in assembly but also in local polls for a particularly long time. So this is going to be much more interest to us.
Thank you for setting up the context in very much detail, and you have already picked up on some of the themes that I want to discuss as we move further in the conversation. So, sir, secondly, I would ask you to shine some light upon what has changed since the last election up until now. So, we have had 2 terms of LDF government at the state legislature. So, how do you think, what are the major political economy or significant structural changes that you observe since the 2020 election?
Despite the commitment of the left towards local governance, and also that they have a very strong grassroots capacity, water strength, and also leadership level at the structurally at the local level. The main plank or the question before the state government is the declining nature of the economy, and particularly that the state is running with the 6 lakh crore of debt, and that has brought in a lot of issues. And unlike the earlier situation when we consider that whatever the state budget is, 40% will be automatically allotted to the local governments. While this is a principle of the local government as per rules, but how much money is available to the state government? And the state government has not only depend on finance commission for its allocation, and furthermore, in a way to outshadow the poor performance of the budget, the state government tried to bring in a new kind of an economy by bringing the KIFBI into the focus. And KIFBI is another instrument and strategy through which funds are collected universally for the support of the state. And this has brought in a lot of controversies because it is natural that when we float bonds, others at the global level will support and finance it. But whether the state government is empowered to do this is a very big question. And therefore, the depleting budget is a fundamental issue as far as the institutional part is concerned. And furthermore, the problem of urbanization is very, very acute. I mentioned about the density of the population in Kerala, and also the nature of our construction, the growth of the infrastructural development that is happening, and its impact on environment, and furthermore, the problem of climate change, how it has affected the local development also. This is another problem that is catching up, because otherwise the state wanted to have more infrastructural development, but traditionally there was a strong lobby against infrastructural development on the plea that this is going to affect the environment in general. But now, since the critics are almost aligned with the state government, infrastructural development is happening. But this also has created a lot of problems in the way because we need infrastructural growth. There is the promise of the K-Rail also. But in the process, this urbanization, almost local bodies, a local state is more urbanized than rural. Earlier, we used to call rural and urban. But this is more getting, in Kerala, it's getting more and more urbanized day by day. This is also because of the Gulf money and also the international exposure of Kerala. A lot of investment is happening, and this investment mostly happens in the area of construction work, and also this investment in other sectors, startups, etc. So all these are creating more level of urbanization in a state which is thick with construction. Earlier, long back, we had the house construction as the main concentration. Now it has been replaced by urbanization, and also by the demand for more and more apartments. So apartments have become, and the construction of flats have become very popular even in the villages of Kerala. So now Kerala is typically more urbanized than any point of time. And with that, we have also the problem of the climate change. So climate change and our negative effect as regards the control of sanitation is concerned. In Kochi, you have the Brahmapuram. In Kerala, we had the Valappisala. So we have a lot of problems regarding how sanitation is to be maintained, how wastage disposal is to be adapted, and what kind of mechanism can be achieved, and how local governments can be held responsible. These are typical issues, but as of now, many of the local governments failed as far as waste management is concerned, and also in controlling sanitation. So a lot of issues, despite the rise of local government, local governance did not receive the right kind of attraction and appreciation from the civil society.
Okay. Sir, you have mentioned about the issues of urban governance, the climate-related issues, but in mainstream media, we hear more about the anti-incumbency, the welfare fatigue, and the leadership appeal and all. But in your assessment, is that the dominant narrative which is shaping this local election, or do you think there are some under-examined narrative which are shaping the sentiments across municipalities and panchayats in this election?
Now, I was giving a proper background to the whole issue. You
Mm-hmm.
rightly mentioned about the anti-incumbency factor, because the I mentioned state government and local government issues are closely connected. And therefore, and since state and local governments are run by the same coalition, people will look more or less the same vision as far as state and local governance are concerned. So to what extent state government factor will come into local governance? uh, I was also discussing with the media person on this issue. I would say that local and state issues are correlated. They are not diametrically opposite. They are very well connected. But definitely for the voter, at least 40% of his voting chemistry will be conditioned by the state government issues. At least 40%. 60% will be local because you have local leaders, personality factor, relationship, other kinds of rapport. So you have Gram Panchayat, you have Block Panchayat, you have the District Panchayat, and you have corporation councils, etc. So the lack of a lot of localism coming. But state cannot be kept out of the radar. And at least 40% of that decision will be conditioned by the state government factor. And I think anti-incumbency is very much there. And I mentioned about the television, the radio, the newspapers, etc. And the on three areas, anti-incumbency is catching up. Number one, high levels and charges of corruption.
Yeah.
Secondly, definitely the price rise. The price rise is a very big problem, and the government has almost increased 50% of its service charges. Almost in every level, they have increased by 50% because government wanted to get more and more revenue. It is running short. So price rise is a very, very big issue. So corruption first, price rise is second. I would also add the arrogance of the ruling hierarchy, particularly at the local level. And this has created a lot of disturbances, and people wanted to distance from such kind of leaders who shows the kind of arrogance, since the power has been there for the last 10 years. Many of the local leaders, I'm not mentioning about state leaders as such, but local leaders at the district level and local level, they are trying to be more arrogant. And given the fact that the opposition is divided and a little bit disturbed, weak and fragile, the arrogance of the ruling elite has increased further. So all these three factors, to my mind, has added to the anti-incumbency factor. Besides that, the government is running short of funds. So that is going to create big problem. But whether this 40% factor, to my mind, accumulate for the actual voting results, particularly when you notice that the LDF is historically very strong at the local government. To what extent you can upset that, we'll discuss that further. But anti-incumbency is a reality. And the recent developments, as you had seen in the Congress, particularly its own factionalism, leadership crisis, allegations against one of the prominent and popular MLAs, and his final dismissal from the Congress party, all had blighted some of the corruption charges against the government. So television and newspapers began to concentrate, and social media as well, began to concentrate on Rahul Mangutadil more than anything else.
Yeah.
So many other things got sidelined. But whether the voter will also erase this because of Congress factionalism is something to be seen. At the same time, there are there are two other factors. One, the historical advantage for the left as far as Gram Panchayat and Block Panchayat and District Panchayats, besides corporations concerned, because of their mobilization, grassroots and institutional development. Secondly, the rise and the growth of the BJP, which cuts into the base of the anti-incumbents. So if BJP is going to poll a little more votes, the strength of the LDF will not be affected. In other words, they won't be bruised much if the BJP is going to poll a little more than the past. For example, in the parliament, they got 19%, almost 20%. But on an average, the highest assembly strength was 16%, 15 to 16%. Even if the BJP retains 15%, that will be a setback for the opposition, other opposition, particularly the main opposition, we would say. Thank you.
Yeah. So how do you picture the whole gold scam coming into this? Do you think it has made a huge impact, especially in the Pathanamthitta district?
Can I repeat that point again?
So we have had issues of the Shabarimala gold scam, which
Yeah.
was something of
Correct.
sensational news before the Rahul Mangotatil case came into picture. So
Yeah.
do you think it has produced significant impact in influencing the voter behavior, especially in the Pathanamthitta district areas?
Yes. Not only in Pathanamthitta, I think all over Kerala, the Sabarimala issue has become a very big factor. And the media not only highlighted it, the fact that the Devasam board was run mostly by the LDF, and most of its leaders are aligned to this. And it exposes further the arrest of nearly 6 people. Mostly they are either officials or belong to the left strength, left alliance, one or other, particularly the CPM. There is a feeling that, like earlier on the issue of women admission to the on the basis of disregarding age to Sabarimala, the present issue is of corruption and converting gold into copper has become a very big issue. It offended the feelings of the many of the believers, irrespective whether they are Hindus or Christians or Muslims. They believe that the government not only influences Hindu temple administration, but exploits and making it more corrupt. So naturally, this will impact upon this will certainly impact upon the people and believers, and in Central Travancore and also to South Travancore, this impact will be much more higher than what we expect.
Okay. Yeah. So now we will move into the clear dissection of how the party strategies are of the main parties like the LDF, the UDF, and the NDA. So, what, in your opinion, are the strategies that the three major formations are forming in this election, and how would you characterize the regional coalition strategies, the organizational strengths, and the cadre level adjustments each front is upping for this local election?
This time it is more competitive, more prestige oriented, because since all the three coalitions consider this election as a turning point. I don't want to say it as a semi-final, because in every election there will be a semi-final election, and no election is a final one, because we will continue to have elections in one or other. So in Kerala, like in many other states too, we have local government elections, we have assembly election and parliament election, and this cycle continues. But for the assembly and the local election, there has to be a separate strategy to be aligned on it. Because at the national level, the opposition is India Alliance, and this India Alliance in Kerala is divided between LDF and UDF. That itself is a very, very strong contradiction. And on the other side, the BJP is considering its strategies very seriously, because they wanted to become more popular and powerful as far as Kerala is concerned. And on the think tanks of the BJP and the policy advice of the BJP are very keen that they should enter into those areas where it has been traditionally difficult. For example, how BJP captured Tripura, how BJP is making itself as a very powerful opposition party in West Bengal. And now they wanted to make inroads into South India. They are very strong as well as Karnataka is concerned, although they lost power now. And they are reasonably powerful in Telangana and Andhra. But Tamil Nadu and Kerala are problematic for the BJP. So in Kerala, they wanted to improve and improvise further. And they believe that it is possible, much more easy than Tamil Nadu, because there is no such strong regional culture like Dravida culture in Tamil Nadu. So it is quite possible that if BJP wanted to become popular, they can strengthen. And from, remember, the last 30 years, BJP came from 0% to 2% to 5% to 6% to 7%, then 9%, then 12%. Now it is coming closely to 20%. So this shows that BJP strategies are very well planned, and they have astute leadership to advise on this. And further that, Rajiv Chandrasekhar, a former central minister, cabinet minister, very close to the prime minister, he is leading the BJP on the one side. And the UDF and the LDF, although they are united in national level, in Delhi they are united, but in Kerala they are divided. So, and for the UDF, it is again a challenging job, because If they fail this time, not only in local but also assembly, then they are almost done, because then the LDF will be unchallenged except that the BJP on the other side. So for the UDF, it is much more prestigious to capture power. Unfortunately, though, the UDF is not having sufficient structural support. So its alliance base is limited, except Muslim League. Where is the strength for the UDF?
Yeah.
Congress and Muslim League are really powerful. Muslim League powerful in 2 to 3 districts. Congress is definitely a national party with strong base in Kerala. Although leadership is divided on many counts, it is still a great force to reckon with. In the last parliament election, they got 17 Lok Sabha seats for the Congress and one to the Muslim League as well. So all these shows that Congress wanted to come back to power, but structurally its weakness is exposed. So, but for the Muslim League and a small sub-regional party called the Kerala Congress Joseph Group, where are the votes coming from? So there is a structural weakness, and they tried their level best to attract. In the process, there is a complaint or allegation that the UDF and the Congress is trying to influence and lobby hard to get an extremist Muslim force called the Jamia, the PDF, and therefore the Popular Front of India, Jamaat-e-Islami. So that Jamaat-e-Islami come SDPI plus PFI, all with some extremist element of the Muslim community. If they unitedly support the UDF and the Congress, definitely this may lead to a wild controversy on the other side, because already the left is trying to unite the Hindu vote base. The two major pressure groups of Hindu community, namely the NSS and the SNDP, are formally aligned with the LDF.
LDF.
And
But how do you think BJP is coming to play a role in here if there is we are seeing two extremes like the Muslims and other extremist group backing behind the UDF, and now how do you think the BJP is going to make inroad? Do you think that's happening with the LDF strongholds?
this is a very interesting point, because honestly speaking, Hindu community is not a strong majority community as far as Kerala is concerned. At the most, they would at the most, because 2021 census has not been taken, but in any case, the Hindu community vote base is not more than 52% of the total population. And even within this 52% Hindu population base, which includes almost 10% of SC/ST, and within the SC/ST, there is a Christian Dalit group also. So practically speaking, an outright majority for Hindus is out of question. Probably that also is one of the reasons why BJP is becoming stronger, because it is not a majoritarian force in Kerala, whereas you have two powerful, strong opposition communities, rival communities, namely the Muslim community and the Christian community. So the BJP wanted to, they are aware and sensitive about their demographic limitations. Further, the left is very strong among the Hindu community, particularly 65% of the OBC Hindu vote share comes from the left. It has been proved and substantiated in many CSDS surveys and many elections. I also have the data regarding that. So ideally, the left, the BJP wanted its strategy to be twofold. Number one, it wanted to penetrate into the minority community for support base, particularly the Christian community. Since Christian community is fractionalized over 16 factions or sectors, some of the groups of the Hindu Christian community, they are in favor of supporting the BJP, considering the fact that it is a national party ruling the country for 11 years and more. And they have developed pressure groups like CASA, to see that the Christian vote banks, at least a portion of the Christian vote bank, which was traditionally supporting the UDF, goes to the BJP or the NDA. Secondly, another interesting strategy that BJP wanted to strengthen its vote share, and it is possible only when it can penetrate into the ranks of the OBC Hindus plus the scheduled caste and scheduled common tribes. In this task, in the Lok Sabha election, it has been proved beyond doubt. Eminent data are also available to show that OBC vote base of BJP is increasing, whereas there is a shrink of vote base of OBC community as far as the CPM is concerned. So this is a strategy. So Hindu community votes are competingly demanded by the NDA and the LDF. LDF is projecting itself to be secular, but its strong basis into community. Whereas on the other side, the BJP wanted to concentrate on Hindu community, but mostly a great majority of the upper caste Hindus, Nayars, Brahmins, etc., but they are not population-wise very strong. They are together, they will constitute only 15% of the total population. So they are with the BJP, majority of them are with the BJP. But in the process, now the BJP is trying to shift its focus to OBCs plus Christian. So this is a dilemma. So there is a demographic confusion across all the three coalitions. And one thing is certain, this election will give more Muslim support to the UDF. That alone can be predicted. Whereas conventional Christian support to the UDF is questioned now, and BJP wanted to grow. So I won't be surprised if in future in the assembly election, it is too early to predict. But if Kerala can throw a surprise by creating a hung assembly as in 1965, it's too early to say. But given this confusion, I think it will be too difficult to come out with a projection. But as far as local polls are concerned, their strategies are highly localized. So it is not a united one, aggregated one. It is more fragmented fashion. So it is quite possible to have UDF, LDF, NDA. But given the data we know, the last few days and few weeks, sometimes within the LDF, CPI and CPM contested each other. And within the Congress and the Kerala Congress and the Muslim League, there are different. But these are all minor things. So need not be taken beyond the sense. But broadly, this coalition matters at the local level. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So we have some questions from the audience also. So talking about the BJP. So the question goes, is the BJP's recent urban traction, especially in the Trivandrum belt and all, is it structurally durable, or is it constrained by rural, local, self-government dynamics? And also another question
is this question focused only for BJP? Or?
Yes, sir. So and additionally,
please say it again.
Yeah. So is the BJP's recent urban traction, is it something that is going to continue, especially in the Trivandrum Corporation? We have seen significant influence. Yeah. And also, the Suresh Gopi effect, where BJP won its first Lok Sabha seat from Kerala with almost over 70,000 votes. Is that a temporary phenomena, or is it going to be reflected in the local election also for the BJP?
Yes. As far as Trivandrum Corporation is concerned, the BJP strength has been increasing, particularly in the last two local polls. For example, 2015, 2020, BJP has been consistently getting elected. Out of 100 seats, BJP gets 35 in the last two elections, 2020 and 2025. And we have seen in 2016, and a BJP MLA got elected. And in the neighboring areas of Trivandrum Corporation, the BJP comes second. And giving a very tough fight to both the coalition. So they are basically strong in Trivandrum. I don't know whether it is an urban phenomenon, although you raise this question, because BJP is not that strong in Ernakulam. If it is urban, it should happen in other urban places. In Trichur, which is also urban in character, we know that mostly that the Suresh Gopi factor was the most influencing factor for the election, and included the fact that the Christian support was unquestionable. So the Christian support to the BJP candidate, plus the popularity of the Suresh Gopi and his philanthropic activities beyond the charismatic film role, he was a philanthropist too. All these held him very high esteem, and that in a very good triangular fight, he was able to win with 70,000 votes plus. That's a remarkable, emphatic, impressive victory. But I don't think that will be easily operational as far as the polls of the local, now the present local polls are concerned. But I don't underestimate the fact that BJP will be able to increase its vote share and may increase few more seats in the Trichur Corporation. But certainly they are going to win Tripunita. That is that is another factor that I think they are going to make. I'm sorry, Kodungalur. Yeah, Kodungalur, Crangnur. So Crangnur, they lost a municipality by 2 seats only. But this time they are very focused to see whether this can be kept. So more than Trichur, Kodungalur is more a chance for the BJP. So the Trivandrum Corporation is definitely a chance. Pandalam is there, Palakkad is there, Adur is there. So, but if you look at them, most of these are in municipalities or corporation. So we generally consider that it is an urban phenomenon. The real fact is that compared to LDF and UDF, BJP is not able to penetrate at the local level. And although they may have still workers in every panchayat of Kerala, still they have to go a long way in making it equally popular, because the problem is clear. BJP alliance is remarkably nominal, because whichever alliance they have, a prominent SNDP group is supporting them. But nevertheless, most of the Irava community members vote for the left and then to Congress. So the fact is that BJP's vote share is only on its own. As we say, apna apna, it's only its own strength. It is not the support of alliance. Whereas the LDF has an alliance of 11 parties. And of these 11 parties, we have very strong medium-sized party other than CPM, major party. The CPI is there, Kerala Congress Mani Group is there, and there are smaller parties, minor parties, and sub-minor parties. It's a broad majoritarian coalition. It's a broad majoritarian size coalition. And as I explained earlier, that the UDF unfortunately doesn't have strong alliance, and except Congress and the medium-sized party Muslim League, they don't have reasonably supporting parties. Kerala Congress J at the most can be considered as a minor party. So this is a situation. So the mass base of LDF and UDF depends upon its alliances, whereas the mass base of the NDF is dependent only on a BJP. And given the strong anti-Hindu rhetoric between the two coalitions, it is difficult for the BJP to become as popular as the UDF or LDF. Thank you.
And sir, just a question: how would you describe the candidate choice of these parties? Because especially with Congress, the party has always been marred with internal conflicts on choosing the candidates. So it has caused the party, this internal conflict has cost the party some of the seats, especially in the last 2020 corporation elections and all. And with the Rahul Mangutam case also, it highlights the party's flaw in a much larger picture. So how do you think UDF has fared in this candidate selection for this local election of 2025?
I must say that in the for the local elections, the UDF has done reasonably better compared to its groupism and factionalism.
Okay.
UDF has always been under radar because of its factionalism, leadership rivalries, groupism within the Congress party, broadly at the state level, and even you have also the Shashi Tharoor factor coming in the way. So many problems with the Congress, particularly, and plus the UDF disgruntlement between the alliances, and therefore a lot of controversies move around the UDF than anybody else. But to our surprise, the KPCC encouraged candidate selection much more smoother at the local level. So, for example, in southern area, I was told that K. Muralidharan, former KPCC president, was looking after. So there was not much controversy as far as Thiruvananthapuram Corporation is concerned. But whether it is going to pay them dividends in the form of victories, I don't know. But candidate selection was by and large smooth. This was unusual for the UDF. It was unusual for the UDF, and that maybe that they felt that they are on the defense and it is very hard for them to come up in the local polls. There may be a sudden feeling of stability and security. And so they must have thought beyond their groupism. And as you rightly said about Rahul Mangutal problem, so Satish took a very principled, very clear stand outright out from the beginning itself. Compared to all others, you look at any other person, whether it was Sudhakaran or it was Ramesh Chennathila or Muralidharan, they took time to take a decision, and Sudhakaran took an opposite decision. So this was unlikely, because one should have been more careful on this issue. But definitely, Sadishan's position was more principled. He was convinced of the problem, and therefore he said he should not contest, and he should not continue, and should not attend the assembly. Look at the plight. He was suspended by the KPCC, approved by the AICC and its High. Yet he appeared in both places, one in the assembly and the other in Parliament. For what purpose? For what purpose? So he was not able to be controlled by the leadership. So that means he must have got the upper hand support mostly from either Shafi Parambil or Sudhakaran or some other sources opposed to Sadish. This is the problem of the Congress. And now with the court verdicts coming against them, I was just told that in the afternoon he got a lease. probably till 15th.
15th,
He only arrested till 15th. But the Trivandrum district judge did not give him the bail. So he is still on the run, not appeared anywhere, still on the run. But during this time, the Congress was compelled to take disciplinary action, a final action, distance with him, and finally he was dismissed. And this dismissal it would have been taken much earlier. If they have taken decisions at least 3-4 days earlier, the image of the Congress would have been far, far better. So the Congress inability to come up with action against Rahul Mangutatil has done reasonably strong anti-incumbency against the Congress also. So while there is anti-incumbency against the government, there is also the moral question with Rahul Mangutatil and also the disunity prevailing among the Congress leaders. But I must say, despite all these things, I must say, the local polls need not be conditioned by these factors. So beyond the local polls, beyond the regional issues or beyond the fractional issues between the Congress party, local developmental issues can matter. So whether on the local developmental issues, whether the LDF welfare plan, its developmental plan, infrastructural plans, whether it is going to impact upon the people or whether the corruption charges against the left government, the kind of arrogance they have displayed, plus the price rise of essential commodities, including all government services. I think these two polls determine the outcome of the election, despite all these things. So the Congress has been pushed to a defense in the final lap, but still 2 days more left for the Kerala, for the southern poll. We are going to the polls on 9th and north on 11th. So up to Ernakulam, we are going to have the poll on 9th and followed by 11th and the other 7 districts. So politics in Kerala is shaping, going and facing at a very fast level. What kind of developments is happening is beyond our prediction, and more interesting developments are taking place. So let us see how really the results come through.
Okay. Thank you, sir. That's a very optimistic way to close our discussion for today. So, as we wrap up this insightful conversation on Kerala's local election, we have explored the voter behavior, the regional coalition, the larger narratives, and how the political strategies are framed by three major political friends through an academic lens with the expertise of our eminent Gopa Kumar sir. So at CPPR, we remain committed to fostering informed discussion on governance and policy. So if you found today's session valuable, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement plays a vital role in driving meaningful conversations about India's democracy. You can also visit our website and explore the Decoding the Polls page for more insights and election studies and analysis. So thank you once again, sir, for joining us on such short notice. We look forward to discussing election results on the 13th. Yeah. Thank you.